Genesis chapter 45, Joseph showed kindness to his brothers. Then Joseph could not control himself any longer in front of all those who attended, and he called out, "Have everyone leave me." So no man stood there when Joseph revealed himself to his brothers. Joseph wept aloud, and the Egyptians who had just left him heard it, and the household of Pharaoh also heard it. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But his brothers were speechless, for they were stunned and dismayed by the fact that they were in Joseph's presence. And Joseph said to his brothers, "Please come closer." And they approached him, and he said, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me ahead of you to save my life and preserve our family." So that's the first thing he says. Instead of like, "Look what you did to me. Look at the anger." He's like, God sent me here ahead to save our family. For the famine had been in the land for these 2 years, and there are still 5 more years in which there will be no plowing and harvesting. God sent me to Egypt ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on the earth and to keep you alive by a great escape. So now it was not you who sent me here, but God. That's like a thought, right? Like, I was listening to a sermon at church, and they were talking about Joseph and the wrong that had been happening to him. And, it wasn't his doing, it wasn't his fault, but because of association with his brothers and, being in the company of them that have anger and, the arrogance and all of that, they were like, "Father likes him, let's throw him in a pit, let's get rid of him, let's just do all these things." He had no control of that, right? And instead of like being angry and doing it, he says, "It wasn't you that did this. God sent me here." And the message was more about when bad things are happening in your life, don't just so much go to the person that did it to you, but look to God and say, God sent me here for such a time as this, right? From the book of Esther. So very interesting. And it says, "He has made me a father to Pharaoh and lord of all his household and ruler of all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father and tell him, your son Joseph says this to you. God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me and do not delay. You shall live in the land of Goshen, the best pasture land of Egypt, and you shall be close to me, you and your children and your grandchildren, your flocks and your herds and all you have. There I'll provide for you and sustain you, so that you and your household and all that are yours may not become impoverished, for there are still 5 years of famine to come. Look, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see that I'm speaking to you personally in your language and not through an interpreter. Now you must tell my father of all my splendor and power in Egypt and of everything that you have seen, and you must hurry and bring my father down here." Then he embraced his brother Benjamin, his neck, and wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck. He kissed all his brothers and wept on them, and afterwards his brothers talked with him. When the news was heard in Pharaoh's house that Joseph's brothers had come, it pleased Pharaoh and his servants. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers, do this, load your animals and return to the land of Canaan without delay, and get your father and your households and come to me. I will give you the best of the land in Egypt, and you will eat the fat, the finest produce of the land. Now, you, the brothers of Joseph, are ordered by Pharaoh, do this. Take wagons from the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. Do not be concerned with your goods, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours." Then the sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the command of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for their journey. To each of them Joseph gave changes of clothing, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of clothing. To his father he sent the following: 10 male donkeys loaded with the good things of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and provision for his father, to supply all who were with him on the journey. So he sent his brothers away, and as they departed he said, "See that you do not quarrel on this journey about how to explain this to our father." So they went up from Egypt and came to the land of Canaan to Jacob their father. And they said to him, "Joseph is still alive, and indeed he is ruler over all the land of Egypt." But Jacob was stunned, and his heart almost stopped beating, because he did not believe them. When they told him everything that Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. In Israel, Jacob said, "It is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive, and I will go and see him before I die." Great story here. This is your daily Bible chapter reading God's Word Monday through Friday. See you tomorrow.